Because you're right in the middle of it, guy. Hello. Hello, all. Hi, Tay. Tonight we are talking about scheduling that medical coding exam. I can't wait. I'm excited. It is, definitely. We're deep into the week. We're halfway there to the weekend. And then it starts all over again. What are you going to do? Hope everybody had a good day. Hi, Shannon. So we're going to wait for a couple of minutes before we get started, since it is a Wednesday. And let's see, what do we have tomorrow? Tomorrow's show is going to be on resumes. So get your resume questions together for tomorrow. Today we are talking about scheduling the coding exam. For those of you that are just coming in. Hi, Christina. Hi, Yvette. Thank you all for joining me. Who else do we have? Hello, Alive in my 50s. Hi, Blue. Finally, I can make a live video. Yeah. Can I study medical billing on my own? I responded to your comment, and I told you that, like I've mentioned many times, medical billing is something that you learn on the job. It's not a self-study course, because every place is different. And then, of course, you're going to be working with different insurance companies and things like that. So some doctors' offices only work with certain insurances, and others work with everybody. So it really depends on where you're at. I would not recommend trying to do a study thing like this by yourself. This is something that you learn on the job. Yes, there's credentials for it, but again, you don't have to be certified to be a medical coder, because not certified medical coder, certified to be a biller. You don't have to be certified to be a biller. You have to, you'll get trained on the job for that. So medical coding, you have to be certified, yes. Even though there are credentials for medical billing, if you look in the job listings, they're not asking for medical billers to be certified. So that's my answer. But I did respond to you. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Today's episode, I am going to be talking about schedule your medical coding exam. So let us begin. All right. A lot of people are finishing their program, and now they're like, Blue, I don't know what to do. I don't feel like I'm ready. I don't know when I should schedule my exam. So I'm just going to wait and do some more studying. Okay, here's the deal, guys. When you are going through a medical coding program, you need to have a plan. And part of that plan is, as soon as you finish your medical billing and coding program, I always recommend that you schedule your exam either within 30 days or no more than 90 days after you complete your program. Well, I'm just not ready. You're always going to feel not ready. The thing is, it's never going to make sense to you until you get out into the real world. There's a lot of people that go through, I don't feel like I learned enough while I was in school. Or my program was too fast, and I just don't understand anything. So if you're going through a fast-paced program and you feel completely lost, you don't feel like you understand anything, then it is your responsibility to reach out and find a mentor or find a tutor. I'm a tutor. My rates are in the description box below, or they will be when this video gets updated. And there's a ton of tutors on LinkedIn. There are also tons of mentors out there that are willing to help you for free. So it is entirely up to you. These fast-paced medical coding programs, or even these programs that are just self-paced and you go at your own pace and things like that, you learn on your own, their job is to get the money. They are a business. A lot of those schools are not in the business of helping the students. There are some, okay? I'm just gonna put that out there. There are some, I don't know. I don't know who they are, or where they're from. But I do know that a lot of people, more often than not, are running into this problem of, I don't understand, so I'm just gonna give up. So then it's okay for you to waste all that money for a school that made you this promise that you were going to have this brand new career where you could make all this money and you could work at home. Guys, come on. It is about you taking action with what you want. Scheduling your exam, knowing what certification you want to sit for while you're in the program is key. A lot of times people will get all the way through the end of their program and be like, I don't know what certification to sit for. Okay, so what have you been preparing for? Well, my program prepares me for either the CCA or the CPC. Okay, so have you done your research? Have you looked in your area to see what are they looking for? Well, Blue, I'm afraid. There's a lot of that. I'm afraid I don't want to schedule my test yet because I'm just not ready. Guys, you're always going to be afraid. There's always going to be that fear, right? And the only thing that you can do with that fear is actually face it head on, because if it's something that is going to scare you like a test and you're always going to think, well, what if? Whenever we think that what if, what happens is usually some catastrophic hypothetical, right? That almost never happens. And what is the worst that could happen when you take your exam? Is that you don't pass. So what happens? You take it again. You keep taking it until you pass. If you don't pass the first try, that is literally the worst thing that could have happened, right? Is that you didn't pass. So now what do? You already know what to expect. You know what the test center looks like. You know the feel of the exam. You know about the time and how the time feels. And yes, while it may feel defeating, it will feel defeating. Not may, it will. It doesn't mean that should stop you. That should not scare you. It should drive you even more to going back in there and saying, I'm going to schedule my exam again, and we're going to buckle down. I'm going to concentrate on the areas that were difficult for me, and I'm going to get this. You have to be able to motivate yourself, folks, and you have to be willing to do those things. Stop being scared of a test. The test is not going to bite you. It is literally going to go over what do you know. You're not going in there blindly. You're not going in there not knowing anything about medical coding, right? Because you've been through a program. You've completed a program. And now it's time to take that test. So just go in there and think about all the things that you've learned. The best thing about medical coding exams, you can use a book. These are open book tests. You have your coding books. You have all of your coding books. The coding books have the answers. You just have to know how to look them up. And this is why I always tell people, when you're studying for these exams, Blue, I don't know what to study. Look at the book. The book is going to be able to tell you, because it's got the guidelines in it. It's got the appendixes in it that give you all of these little keys, right? The keys of what the modifiers are, or what the anatomy plates are. So you don't have to memorize all this anatomy. You have the anatomy plates. If it's saying something in the record that you're like, what is this? You can look in those anatomy plates and look in the area that they're talking about and see if it's there. And that way you can kind of, oh, okay, now I get it. So this fear it's not like when we took tests in school, right? Where you were given a test and you had notebooks to work with. At least that's the way it was when I was in school. You didn't have no books. There was no books, no internet, no nothing. You had to sit there and figure that stuff out. So you want to talk about nerve-wracking. Now that is nerve-wracking. This allows you to have your books. So be grateful for that. But be grateful and learn how to use this tool wisely. Learn how to look at it and be thorough with it. I always tell people, go through each and every page. People laugh at me. They think that that's a waste of time. But then when they get into that exam room and they realize, oh, I really should have done that. I don't know where to find this. I'm not telling you guys this stuff just to make it more difficult for you all. I'm telling you this as somebody who's been there, done that. I've already been through the exam process twice. Once with my CCA and once with my CCSP, which I have now, the Certified Coding Specialist, physician-based, in case you're wondering. Was I nervous on both of these tests? Heck, yes. This wasn't something that I took lightly. The very first time I sat for my CCA, right, I did schedule it as soon as my program finished. They were like, okay, Blue, when are you wanting to take this test? And I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 6 weeks. Okay, cool. So I gave myself 6 weeks before I took my test. So they had already scheduled it for me as a closeout of my program. I did not get a certificate like that says I completed this program. So they were very clear about that. You are not going to get a certificate because a certificate from completing a medical billing and coding program is not going to get you a job. That's what they told me. And that's what I believed. And it's still true because they want you to be certified when you are going out and looking for a job in medical coding. So that's why I was like, okay, cool. So within 6 weeks, I said, okay, I started studying. And this was day and night I was doing this. And I was still working 2 jobs. So I was a bartender, you know, I worked at a halfway house. I did all kinds of stuff when I was in school and when I had finished with school. And by the time I sat for that exam, the day that I walked in to taking my exam, and I'm there and I said to myself, when I pass this exam, this is going to be the end of all of this bartending, long hours on my feet, you know, working at the halfway house, doing all these odd and end jobs. That's going to be the end of this. This is going to unlock my future. This is going to be what is going to free me from all of this. There's nothing wrong with those jobs. Those jobs, they taught me a lot. They taught me a lot about people and working, and I have a strong work ethic. But the thing is, that wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And if you're in a situation where you've been through school and you've completed your program and you don't have the best support system around you, and there's a lot of people telling you, oh, you'll never do it. I don't know why you're going to schedule that exam. Or, you know, you fail all the time. I don't know why you're taking this. That's a horrible thing to hear. But that should drive you. You should turn that energy around and say, you know what? I'm going to use that to drive me because I'm going to show you that, yes, I can pass this exam. And if you don't pass that exam, that's okay too, because you went through the process and you still did it anyway. That's something to be proud of, because it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up. And yes, that's a little cliche, but that's okay, because getting knocked down doesn't mean you can't get back up. You get back up there and you schedule your exam again. Don't wait, folks. Don't say, well, I'm going to study for 6 months. If you've been in a program for a year and then you take 6 months to study, that's way too long. That the longer you take to take the exam, right? The longer you're out of school, you're going to start forgetting those key things like reimbursement and all those other rules that you spent time remembering and memorizing and thinking about. Think about all the time that you spent away from your family. Parents, if you're doing this and you spent time away from your kids, you think about that. The longer you put off taking that exam, you think about that. All of that time you spent away from your kids is going to be flushed down the drain because you're not taking your certification exam. You're waiting. And then you're letting all those feelings take over. And, oh, well, I'll just go ahead and work this other job while I'm getting ready for the exam. No. You were ready probably a month after you've completed your program. You just didn't want to let yourself have that chance to prove it to yourself. We are our own worst critic. We are, literally. And that's the only thing that is going to stop you is you. No one else. And you can't really complain about your school because schools are going to do this. They are going to be about the money. It's about the bottom line. And for them, they say, okay, well, we got our money. We told you we were going to give you this program, and we did. The rest is on you. So you have to be expecting that. Same thing with your motivation to take your certification exam. If you haven't taken it yet, don't wait. The longer you wait, it's going to get harder and harder. Face that fear head on. When I took my CCSP exam, yes, I had sea legs coming out of there, right? Because I was nervous. Even me, all my years of experience, I was still nervous because you never know, right? Even I go through that. Somebody who is very confident still goes through that. Somebody with experience still goes through that. I'm going to be honest with you, that's true. And if somebody who's a veteran says, oh no, I didn't worry, they're lying. Because everybody goes through that. Everybody. The difference between somebody who feels those nerves and the difference between somebody who doesn't schedule the test is night and day. At least I have the shot, right? The person who schedules the test has the shot to be able to get out there and get what they want. You have to follow through, folks. Follow through. Because that, again, there's your goal. The goalpost is right there. But if you're sitting there on that sideline, so afraid, so scared, you're always going to be afraid and scared. And you're always going to run from whatever it is that you're doing. Don't run, folks. Give yourself a chance to get in there, show what you got. Because believe it or not, you can do it. And there's people who have tons of obstacles in front of them. Everybody has a different story when it comes to medical coding. Some of us came from no medical background at all. Some of us are parents. Some of us have been through 2 or 3 different careers. And this is the third, fourth career. So there's a lot of different things. Some people have their GED only. Some people have a high school diploma only. Some people, English is their second language. And they're really trying. So whatever obstacles you think you have to scheduling this exam, trust me, there's somebody else that has got it way harder than you do. So take all the gifts that you have, which is the gift of study, the gift of comprehension and understanding, and looking through the book. You don't have to memorize it, folks. Just look through it so that way you know where to find things. Don't neglect anything. The front cover, the end cover, it all has information. Look at it. Take the time. You don't have to read it individually, but your brain is looking at this book. Your brain is able to process information while we don't even think about it. Subconsciously, it's there and it's going. So when you are taking your exam and you feel like this may be the answer, you know, you always go with your first instinct. Why? Because it's usually correct. That's your brain, folks. That is your brain in autopilot working because it already knows. It's just our conscious that's telling it, is it this one? No. It's this other one. No, it's this one. Go with your first instinct. You would be surprised the things that you can achieve when you start to trust yourself. Trust yourself that you know enough to get through this exam. And I'm going to read some of these comments to see what we got here, because I saw a lot of them coming in. All right. Hi, Hannah. Alive in my 50 says, I received your response. I wasn't sure. I wasn't clear enough on the response. Sometimes I respond really quickly. So if I wasn't clear, then just let me know. Hey, you weren't clear. I don't understand. Let me know. Hi, Aurora. Hi, Christina. Christina, my plan is to first sign up for my accommodations, then test, which will be roughly about a month later when I'm done. Like you always say, get to know your books. Tay says, very true. Anne says, thanks for the positive motivation, Blue. Good. Sherry says, thank you for the encouragement. Hannah, I don't have negative influences. I just am nervous and second guessing myself. that if I can actually do this. You can. You totally can, Hannah. Christina, with my program, I have a year to complete the program. I have the mindset after I take the CPC to go back and finish the inpatient coding. 50 says, how do you study for the section that I cannot mention on here to prepare for the CPC exam? Again, in your book, there is a whole section in your appendix, depending on which book you're using. Hopefully, I think it's the Optum book, the Optum 360 ICD-10 CM book. So look at that, and it has a whole list there. There's not okay, you're taking the CPC exam. There is not a section in the CPC exam that is covering that topic that you just asked about. What does the CPC exam cover? Every section, every chapter of the CPT book. So don't try to get real deep into a subject that you don't even need to. That's just part of the process, yes, and understanding what you're reading, but that's not covered on an entire section on that exam. So look at the AAPC website, which I can pull that up here, and I should just go ahead and pull it up. So we can go over what is covered on this exam. Because while we have talked about this before, I know that when you're about to study for this, it's just like, which one do I do? Okay, CPC. Oh, come on. I don't want all of this mishigas. Let's see. Education. CPC. Where are we? It just says exam preparation. It does tell you what is on the exam. Register for your CPC exam now. And I go back to the first one. What are the things that it covers? And I see it all the time. Let's see. Certification, CPC. It's 150 questions, 17 areas of knowledge, most questions presenting a coding scenario to test proper application of CPT, HCPCS, and ICD-10 CM. You have 5 hours and 40 minutes, and you have to answer 70% of the questions correctly to pass. That gives you a lot of wiggle room, folks. Here we go. The CPC exam breakdown, literally on the website. The 10,000 series, that's all about the integumentary system. Integumentary. The 20,000 series, which is all the musculoskeletal. The 30,000 series, which is respiratory. The 40,000 series in the CPT manual, which is the digestive system. The 50,000 series, which is the urinary. 60,000, which is the nervous system, evaluation and management, anesthesia, radiology, laboratory and pathology, medicine, medical terminology, anatomy, diagnosis, HCPCS, coding guidelines, and compliance and regulatory. Those are all the sections that are covered on the CPC exam. So again, it's not going to narrow down to specifics like what you asked. Blue, I just posted the breakdown. What in the comments? 105 out of 150 just to pass, FYI. You see, guys? Thank you both for that. 105 to pass this exam. 105. That's all you need. That's your golden ticket. Your 70% is 105 out of 150 questions. That's a lot of wiggle room. That's 4 sections that if you didn't get it, you could still pass. That's a lot of wiggle room. So trust me, the fact that people are so afraid of something that is really friendly to coders is baffling, because once you get in there and get on the ball, trust yourself, go with your first instinct. What happens, happens. And then you'll be on your way to a new career when you get your certification. But you absolutely can do this, guys. It just takes doing that final step, scheduling that exam. Don't sit there and procrastinate. Oh, well, I'm going to study first and then I'm going to schedule, because you're always going to push it off, push it off, push it off. If you have your end date in mind, there you go. You know, you can still start to look for a job, you know, while you're about to sit for it, but doesn't mean that you're going to get any kind of responses. Sometimes you do, sometimes you won't. It really all depends. But again, you have to get with it, folks, you know, because making those excuses is just going to be one excuse after another. And you're never going to get there if you do that. You want to be able to get there. Again, think about all the time you spend away from your family, your kids, and your significant other, your pets. All the time that you spend away from everything and everyone that you love. All because you're afraid to finally take that last step so that you can get your new career. Because that's ultimately what you're doing it for, right? It's a new career. It's not so that you can complete a program and say, yeah, I completed a program. Okay, then what did you do with it? Where did you go after that? That's like saying, I'm going to go to law school, but never sitting for the board. Why would you do that? Why would you go through all of that in order to just say that you did it? Okay, so say that you took your test. Be able to say that. Give yourself that ability to be able to say that. Just saying. It's reverse coding, so you have to know how to look things up, know the vocabulary. There you go. And it's a multiple choice exam at that. The CPC exam is multiple choice. Every single one of those questions is a multiple choice. Again, it's coder friendly, beginner coder friendly. You have to just stop panicking and look at it enough to start understanding what they're saying. The practice tests, I recommend them because I've seen them before and they are quite comprehensive. I like that they give the rationale for those. So, you know, that is something that you can use to practice for the exam, because that's another question I get quite often. Blue, I don't know how to study for the exam. I've done many videos, but getting the practice exam books is a good way to start practicing. And no, that is not a barometer of whether or not you're going to be able to pass your exam, because a lot of people have taken those practice tests and gotten a false sense of, oh, I got this, I can pass this. And then when they get there, they're too cocky and they end up not doing very well on the test. So don't use that as a gauge of, oh, I passed the practice exam test, so I'll be able to pass the real test. Use that as okay, I was able to get through all of the test within the allotted time, because I recommend that too when you're studying for your exam, is to sit down for that time that you have. And some people say, well, I don't have that time, Blue, so I'm going to break it down. Do whatever you want. Do whatever it is that you want. If you don't have to follow anything that I say, okay? I'm just giving you guys my suggestion. If you don't want to take it, that's all right. But I'm telling you, as a veteran coder and somebody who's been there and done that twice, I'm telling you, sit down, take the 5 hours and 40 minutes, or if you're taking an AHIMA exam, 4 hours, or the 2 hours for the CCA exam. Sit down and do a practice test. See how you're timing yourself, if you're able to get through these scenarios within that time. If you need to speed up because you're running out of time, that's a good way to test yourself as well. So that way you can get yourself into training, because it's running a marathon, guys. It's not a sprint. You have to condition yourself, condition your body, condition your mind. And it's talking positively to yourself, not sitting there putting yourself down or telling yourself that, oh no, I can't do it, or I don't know if I should do it, or hemming and hawing about even scheduling the exam. Schedule the exam, guys. Schedule the exam. Because at least this way, you don't have to schedule it for the next day, but if you schedule it for about a month, right, after, then okay, I got a month. So, okay, now it's going to be time. And right before it gets time, like a couple days before, or even a week before, stop studying. You're not going to learn anything new. The worst thing that's going to happen if you're cramming at the last minute, and sometimes people don't hear me when I say this, don't cram, but they still cram anyway, then they get so nervous and they don't do well. Guys, you're going to freak yourself out if you do that. Okay, so take a break. You studied all you're going to be able to study. Your brain already got it. It's got it. Just take a couple of days to yourself. Relax before you go take your exam. And then when you go take your exam, you'll be ready. A says, hi everyone. Hi. I love the blue heart. Hi V. I would like to know if there is any program or course to register to pass the CPC. The coding guy, the medical coding guy, recommended 1 hour per 30 questions a week. I don't know the medical coding guy. I don't know what he, I plan to stop 3 days before, since I'll be flying home. Oh, there you go. Hey guys, if you're getting any kind of value out of this, if it's motivating you, hit that like button, because the more you hit that like button, the more YouTube will push this out. And I know a lot of times when people say, oh, smash that like button, people kind of ignore them. Well, the thing is, guys, you know, we YouTubers, you know, do a lot for you guys. And while we're happy to do it, you know, a little appreciation goes a long way. As far as your question, I would like to know if there is any program or course to register to pass the CPC. Are you trying to study for the CPC exam, or what are you trying to do? Because even on the AAPC website, they do have their members that do like exam prep in person or virtual or whatever. And they said they can't guarantee the quality of these exam prep courses, but they are available. So again, going directly to the AAPC website is going to answer a lot of these questions. A heck of a lot better than I do. I'm not affiliated with AAPC at all in any way, but yet I still talk about them very well, because they are one of the 2 major medical coding associations that I recommend. So if you're wanting to go for your medical coding certification, do that. You know, go through either one of them. Oh, I got one more like. Thanks, guys. All right, so that's my message for today. Unless anybody else has any other questions. Yes, no? Isabel, I failed my exam by 1%. I am so sorry. But I have another attempt in August. There is value in having this experience the first time. Now I know what to expect. And that's a good attitude to have. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. Sometimes people just don't want to admit when this happens. But I think that when coders are able to admit these things, that it helps other people. And it's motivating and it's encouraging, because it's an experience that everybody's going to go through. Whether you pass the exam on the first try or you need to attempt it a few times or a couple times, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, the fact that you're doing it, you're going to eventually get to what you want. It's like Olympians, right? Do you think they became an Olympian overnight? No. Do you think that they were able to make all these high jumps or run as fast as they do overnight? No. They had a lot of training. They had a lot of conditioning. And they had a lot of trial and error. And they had to do things. They had to take tests and run or sprint or swim. And it's practice, practice, practice. You know? Good luck. Don't give up. There you go. All right, guys. So if anybody has anything else, nobody? Yes? Yes, no? See, you got a lot of encouragement there, Isabel. Christina says, Isabel, you can do it. So, but yes. So just make sure that you don't give up on yourself, guys. Schedule your exam. Just do it. Because the sooner you get that out of the way, the sooner you're going to be on your way to a brand new career. I'm just saying. I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye.